Whoa. What's this setup?
Trying it out.
All right, Rachel. Well, here we are. We're trying out a new setup. It's great. Anyway.
I got new couch pillows.
Did get new couch pillows. They're much better than the gross old orange or yellow ones. Not
Those things
orange,
were
yellow, whatever.
so
They were bad. They were bad. Anyway, there's a lot that's happened, and now I want to just jump right in, I think, because last week we opened by talking about the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
And this week we are also opening with the Dallas Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
So the Cowboys suck.
Do they?
They suck a lot. Obviously, Dak Prescott is hurt, so he is on the shelf. He's going to be out for the year. So now they have Cooper Rush, and I was unfortunate enough to watch the game.
So they also have Trey Lance, and this is the thing, is like...
How bad does he have to be that they're not playing him?
They said they're like, we have a package for Trey Lance, and they ran him for one play. And it's like, this guy was like a former third overall pick, and the only reason he isn't the quarterback in San Francisco is because... When Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, they went to him, and he got, like, pummeled, and then they went to Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy's become Brock Purdy.
Well, he
didn't lose his talent. Like,
actually, it's funny. He got hurt, his backup was Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo also got hurt, so then they went to Brock Purdy and realized, oh, Brock Purdy can do what Kyle Shanahan tells me to do. There you go. But what I want to talk about is the Cowboys. So, like, anyone who is sane... is not going to watch the Cowboys game. It was Cowboys versus Eagles. It was a 4 p.m. or 4:25 p.m. start last Sunday.
It was like the game of the week on Fox.
America's game of the week, they call it. And that was expecting both teams to be competitive. Obviously, only one is. And so...
And the Eagles haven't been fantastic this year either.
Like, their record looks good, but the Eagles haven't been fantastic. And so... My dad and I, we watch football together every Sunday, and we watch the 4 p.m. slate because... we like to have dinner together, but we're both too old to stay up super late. At least my dad is, to stay up super late to watch Sunday night football.
Mike's talking about how he's too old. He is 28 years old.
Yeah, I feel like an old man. And so we ended, and there were only 3 games. All of them were blowouts. But we were kind of stuck on the Cowboys game, and it was terrible. If there's one thing I noticed, one thing that everyone noticed, it's that Jerry Jones built that stadium to be it's called Jerry World, to be a monument to his hubris.
Did he ever?
And he built that stadium in a way that at a certain, pretty much in the afternoon, when all football games are played, the sun shines through the roof and shines directly into the end zone and blinds anyone that can possibly catch a touchdown.
The best is Jalen Tolbert said the reason he missed that catch in the end zone is because he couldn't see the ball.
So did CeeDee Lamb. Now, this has become the talking point of the week.
Just curtains, guys. And the best part about it is they have curtains because they use curtains for other concerts
WWE
and stuff at Cowboy Stadium.
So Jerry Jones was asked after the game about it, and you know what? He's crazy, and he's a bad owner and a bad GM. However...
Well, anytime your owner is also your GM is really not the best combination.
However, I don't think it was a good idea. And then again, this is what happens when you name yourself GM. But I don't think it was a good idea to interview Jerry Jones after getting absolutely mollywopped by your biggest rival, because he was not in the mood to speak. And so his reaction to questions that were all after getting killed on America's Game of the Week against your most heated rival in the Eagles. It was all about the sun, and he was pissed. And so he basically was like, "What do you want to do? Tear the whole stadium down? We're not putting up curtains. It's crazy." Now
you have curtains. You have curtains. I don't understand. Do you want to win football games or not?
No, we established that because he lets people walk through his facility during the day, just random people into meetings basically. He doesn't want to win. There have been pictures that have been posted of when WWE events come to Dallas, come to AT&T Stadium, they put up curtains. It's really not that difficult. However, he is adamantly against it. And so...
I would rather have the sun shine directly in my superstar wide receiver's eyes so that he can't catch the ball. What a plan.
Now the best part, and the reason why I bring this up, the best part is the next day, on Monday, or no, I believe it was on Tuesday.
Tuesday, because Monday was a day off. Yeah.
So on Tuesday, obviously, everyone meets. They do walkthrough, they do film, and obviously the coach, Mike McCarthy, Dead Man Walking, meets with the media.
Right.
Now, in the Dallas Cowboys media room, there's a big window.
Yep.
It happened to be a sunny day that day. And the sun just happened to be shining directly onto the podium. So what did they do? They put up a little thing that would block the sun from shining right in Mike McCarthy's face.
Dude.
That is that's a level of that's like a sitcom level bit of, I don't even know. I don't even want to call it irony. Like it's that's insane.
What are you doing? Like, what are you doing that we're at a point where your receivers can't catch the football because they can't see it. Your head coach can't even have a media conference in peace without putting up some barrier to also hide the same sun. And it's like, man, like...
Well, it's a show of symbolism. It's like Jerry Jones will refuse to put up a barrier to the sun during the game. But when it comes to a media conference, something that's about like the brand, something that's about pushing forward to the media, to the consumer, he will then put up a barrier to ensure that is done correctly. It is absolutely remarkable. So this guy, like, I just say again, like, imagine if this happened to anybody, like this happened in another sport, because there are, like, in Seattle, they have windows, and there was a game last year where the sun shone through, and I think it was like Linus Allmark or Eunice Corpusalo or someone. I can't remember. I think it was against the Sens, so it was Eunice Corpusalo was like, "Hey, like, what's going on?" So they in the middle of the game put up curtains. Mid-game. It's not that hard. What is the... I want to know the logic. I want to know the rationale behind not putting up curtains for this.
It's Jerry Jones' ego.
But
already...
Is that it?
It has to be.
Like, I want to know...
Like, it has to be? I don't know.
I want to know the board meeting or whatever that went around, like, someone has definitely brought it up in, like, a board meeting or a meeting, and I want to know what, like, the workflow was.
I got it.
What is it?
They need the sun to be shining down on the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders while they do Thunderstruck, because there are sparkles in the cheerleading outfits that would glisten in the sun. Surely that has to be it, right?
But they would glisten under like the insane amount of stadium lights that they have in there.
I got nothing.
Like it boggles my mind. Like, what could possibly be against? Is it just like it doesn't look good on TV?
No, it doesn't. It looks terrible.
Like, there's like sun flares and stuff going on the camera. Like, I don't understand what the point of this is.
This is one of those things where when the architect tells you, hey, this might be a bad idea, you should listen to them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like this rich zillionaire is creating something out of a movie because they think it's a reasonable thing to do. Mm-hmm. And then an architect who's an actual expert in the field is like, hey, have you thought about this? And he's like, yeah, but like nobody cares. That's when the architect should be like, no, you can't do this. Like, at some point, there's gotta be a timeout, Jerry. It's not feasible. We can't have this. Because, like, I bet you the broadcasters aren't happy about it either. Like, there's no way Fox, CBS, Amazon Prime, like, any of those people are happy about this either. Because it makes the white balance off, too. Like, it just, all the way around, it's terrible.
Yeah, pretty much. like I don't get it. I just don't. Jerry Jones is such he's an enigma. Like, I don't know. Anyway, I just thought it would be, like, we had to bring that up because we talked a lot about the stadium tours last week, you know, and I don't even want to make this a segment of Imagine If the Leafs, because this would never happen.
Well, yeah, because there's no
but like
sun.
It's impacting the game. Like, it is, like, even though it wasn't a close game, still, Like, you lost a touchdown at the very least.
2.
You lost 2 touchdowns because the sun was shining directly into the eyes of your players.
And where those touchdowns were within the game, like, or it wasn't immaterial either. Like, the Lamb touchdown, I believe, would have tied the game at one point.
And you know what, too? It's Cooper Rush throwing these touchdowns. He doesn't have very many touchdowns in him.
True.
So you cannot waste that. You cannot waste opportunities of Cooper Rush being, like, competent. And you have. There's, like, the whole reason why you build a dome is so you can control the elements. You can control nature. No one likes playing under a dome. But the whole point you have it is so if it rains, if it snows, if it sleets, if it's way too hot, if it's way too cold, if the sun is shining too bright, you know, like you
can control that.
You can control that. And the Cowboys are lucky in the sense that they have, or not lucky, like they were smart in the sense that they built a like a glass roof. It looks great. But
bad idea.
Not a totally glass roof, but a roof that allows light to go in.
Right into the player's eyes. Like, it's honestly,
it's crazy.
Just not well thought.
It's crazy.
Out.
Like, can you imagine if the Leafs had, like, if there was a spotlight or something, a malfunctioning spotlight in Scotiabank Arena?
People complain when the ice is bad.
I was at the game last night.
At least they can see.
So I was at the game last night.
As was I.
I became the very thing I swore to destroy. I was a platinum seat ghost. I wasn't the platinums, but I was in a lower bowl box for work.
Did you go and watch the game, or were you kibitzing and not paying attention?
Half and half.
Unbelievable.
Shame. Honestly, God, it was half and half. It was, I got in there at like exactly at 7, so the anthem happened, and as I'm still doing the kibitzing, because we were being hosted, like me and a coworker of mine were being hosted, and as we were talking, the Leafs let in their first goal of the game, and it was just down the hill from here. But I bring that up to say, like, imagine if there is a broken errant spotlight at Scotiabank Arena, and it is shining directly in Anthony Stolar's retinas, like right in his eyes,
the most
right in his eyes.
Leafs thing ever.
And instead of fixing it, which is very clearly like just unplugging it, basically.
Yes. Turning it off.
I guess Larry Tannenbaum, or I guess at this point Ed Rogers.
It would never be Larry Tannenbaum. Let's be very clear.
Edward Rogers.
It would be Ed Rogers.
Said no. Spotlights mean Hollywood. So we're gonna keep this thing up. So for 2 out of the 3 periods, Anthony Stolarz is getting direct assault in his retina and lets in 7-8 goals because he cannot see.
And then after the game, he goes, "Well, I couldn't see because the light was shining in my eyes."
And then they interview Ed Rogers, and he goes, "What do you mean you're talking about this spotlight? What are we gonna do? Tear the whole stadium down?"
And actually, just turn it off.
And then the next day, in the media room, there is somehow
same
same spotlight when Craig Berube is speaking, and instead they put up a little thing in front of it to block it so it doesn't get in Craig Berube's eyes, so he can make a good press conference.
The difference between Craig Berube and Mike McCarthy is Craig Berube would go up and unplug that thing himself. In the same way that, like, if Craig Berube was coaching the Cowboys, that man would be sending somebody up to put the curtains up. Like, he would not tolerate that kind of thing. And it's just like, you're a multi-billion-dollar organization.
Yeah.
Like, make it stop.
You're the Dallas Cowboys. Like, you are called America's team. Whether how valid that is or not, regardless, I don't think you're America's team until someone on your team is dating Taylor Swift. But until that happens, until Taylor Swift gets with, I don't know, like Leighton Vander Esch or something, or Trayvon Diggs or whatever.
I don't think any of those things is gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. Then you're not. But still, like, you have a standard to uphold. It is crazy. Speaking of standards, Rachel, which way do you want to go? Do you want to do the positive first and then the bad, or the bad first and the positive?
Let's do negative then positive.
Okay. The Pittsburgh Penguins suck. They suck so bad. They suck hard. They suck long. They suck in any way that you can possibly suck. And there's a lot of conversation going around because they got pumped 7-1 by the Dallas Stars
Jason Robertson did not have a point in that. Like
crazy, hilarious. That's like the Jason Robertson version of Brett Lebda being -3 in a 9-3 victory, which is without
so
a doubt
funny.
That's the greatest stat line I think in history, other than the Tony Snell 28 minutes played 0-0-0-0-0, like all that.
We got guys with a stat line 0-0-0-0.
Now, there's a lot going on in Pittsburgh right now.
Correct.
First of all, I want to ask you what the heck is going on here.
In Pittsburgh.
What is going on in Pittsburgh?
So
Let me just ask you right now.
Evolving Hockey. And it's not cute. They have a goals for percentage of 39%, which is good for fifth last.
Mm-hmm.
The Predators are still at 29.
Not great.
Not ideal. The Flyers, the Sharks, the Habs, and then the Penguins. So, not ideal, to say the very least. Then you look at their Corsi 4, and it's not as bad, actually. They are in mid-pack in the league.
There you go.
So,
okay.
That's good. Expected goals, however, this is where it gets not ideal. They're 17th, so they're 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, though. When Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin are on the ice, they are much better. When they are not on the ice, it's very much the Oilers of the early McDavid years, where when he was on the ice, they were getting caved in the sense of, like, the expected goals, but he was scoring a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And now, they're in a situation where when McDavid and Draisaitl are on the ice, they're dominating. But their third and fourth lines are getting absolutely murdered.
Yes.
The problem that you have is Crosby and Malkin are not McDavid and Draisaitl right now. Like, they're older, and they're not able to prop up the Penguins. Their power play is putrid.
Yes, it's really bad. However,
and what is Matt Grzelcyk doing on the power play over Chris Letang?
So Matt Grzelcyk is on the second power play unit with Chris Letang.
Okay, so now he's...
Yes.
In the last few games that I've watched, Chris Letang was not on the power play, and I was like, what's happening here?
So there's a lot of... Like, the reason why I bring this up is because, A, they're the talk of the town. I think it's important that we talk about them. But also because they are... There's two schools of thought. There is the... Kyle Dubas has ruined the contention windows of two different sort of like stellar cores, one in Toronto, one in Pittsburgh. But Kyle Dubas came in here and he has just driven this team into the ground and yada yada yada.
Let's be perfectly clear. The Pittsburgh Penguins were not in a contention window.
so secondly, the other argument is, what were they supposed to do with this roster? Because these are their line rushes right now. And I'm sure there's some injuries, but these are their line rushes right now.
Okay.
It's Sidney Crosby in between Drew O'Connor and Brian Rust on the top line.
Like Drew O'Connor is a third line player. Yeah. So right there.
Second line is Evgeny Malkin in between Michael Bunting and Ricard Raquel.
That's a good second line.
That's not bad. Third line is Noel Acciari in between Samuel Poulin and Jesse Puljujarvi. It's not a great third line. Fourth line is Blake Lizotte in between Anthony Beauvillier and Valtteri Puustinen.
See, Puustinen should be in the top six.
The defense
Cody Glass is injured.
But
he would be playing third line center.
But also, like, Cody Glass is, like, if your season hinges on Cody Glass, you're not a contender.
Right. No, but what I'm saying is like,
it would look a bit better. Okay.
Because then that puts Acciari on the fourth line, then you don't have to have Blake Lizotte there.
Okay, even still, okay,
why don't you have...
Let me say this. Cody Glass in between Samuel Poulin and Jesse Puljujarvi, and then Noel Acciari in between Anthony Beauvillier and Valtteri Puustinen. Does that really add that much to that forward core?
I think there's a way you can rearrange these lines to better capitalize. Like, I would try Puustinen, Crosby, Rust. Then I would keep the second line, because that's like a fairly decent line. Third line, I would go Cody Glass, Jesse Puljujarvi, and Drew O'Connor. I think that could actually be pretty good. And then your fourth line is, I guess, Noel Acciari, Anthony Beauvillier, who you could probably put in a top 6 role at this point. Like, why don't you try Anthony Beauvillier with Sidney Crosby?
That's a good question.
He's been a top 6 player before.
The people that they have that are out are just, it's just Matt Nieto, not going to move the needle.
Nope.
Like Cody Glass, young. He's at this point he's a reclamation project.
Right.
And then Kevin Hayes, who again is also a reclamation project.
Right, but Kevin Hayes was playing well.
He was playing well, but he's also like 35 and like.
Right, but Glass and Hayes are not. Those are middle 6 players. Those are not nothing injuries.
Even still, you put those guys into that roster, it's still not great. And then even on defense, like you read their blue line, Marcus Pettersson and Chris Letang, not bad, but like that's not a contention level top line or top pair. Then it's Matt Grzelcyk and Erik Karlsson.
That's a fine second pairing.
But Matt Grzelcyk is having a rough time right now.
Yeah.
And then it's Ryan Graves and Ryan Shea.
Oh no.
And Ryan Graves was one of the was Kyle Dubas's big first.
I think with the right partner, Ryan Graves is actually a pretty good defenseman. The problem is they haven't found that.
And he had a real rough time in his last year in Jersey.
Yes.
And it just seems to be like it is now a slope down for Ryan Graves.
Well, the type of defenseman that he is, like, he's not going to get better at his age.
Here are the deals that Kyle Dubas signed. Actually, I'm going to pull them up. But there are deals that Kyle Dubas signed in his first swing.
Yeah, like, I don't love the Graves decision. Marcus Pettersson was not his deal. That was Jim Rutherford's deal, if I'm not mistaken. But then you look at it, like, I think the Jesse Puljujarvi move has been really good for the Penguins. First of all, it's like a zero-risk move, so that's fine. You look at... You're not getting rid of Crosby, Malkin, Letang, or Karlsson. Like, that's just not going to be the case. So
here are the deals that the big deals that Kyle Dubas, NHL level deals that Kyle Dubas signed in his first season.
Okay.
His first summer. So he left the Leafs. 2 months later, he basically ran free agency for the Penguins. These are the deals.
Okay.
Tristan Jarry, 5 years, $5.375 million per.
That's a bad deal. Yeah, okay.
Ryan Graves, 6 years, $4.5 million per.
Also a bad deal.
Noel Acciari, 3 years, $2 million AAV.
I think that's fine.
That's fine. However, he hasn't sniffed 20 goals since 1920, and that was on a wild shooting spree.
Yeah, but a $2 million player in today's day and age is
it's fine.
A solid fourth line center.
So,
like, the Leafs are paying David Kampf more than that.
Yeah, and
so it's fine.
Which is a mistake.
Right, but that deal is not what's killing them.
Mm-hmm.
The Jarry and Graves situations are bad.
On top of that, Alisson Jelkovic, 1 year, 1.5.
That's fine.
He's
great. Still playing.
He was great last year. He's still playing for them. And then Lars Eller, 2 years, $2.45 million. That's not a good deal.
They
were able to get a 2027 third rounder and a 2025 fifth rounder for him yesterday. They traded him back to the Washington Capitals.
Okay, recouping those assets is
That's
pretty
not
good.
bad. However, I think, what's the point of that? And if you're not gonna I guess you flip those picks in another package, because right now, you cannot rebuild. You promised Sidney Crosby you'd be competitive this year. He's held up his end of the bargain.
The problem is like a lot of the players are just having
bad
seasons.
Years.
Like Tristan Jarry, not great. Erik Karlsson not having the best year. Chris Letang not having the best year. Brian Rust also not having the best year. Mm-hmm. And maybe, I don't know, try putting Anthony Beauvillier higher in the lineup. Or
Puustinen.
Like, literally, there's things you can do. The other thing, and Jesse Marshall, who's gonna come on the show at some point.
Former co-host of mine.
We're gonna do, like, a Penguins Christmas
I would love to know, yeah.
The thing about this is the Penguins have all of the hallmarks of a team that has quit on their coach.
This is a difficult conversation to have, because obviously Mike Sullivan has done so much. You want back-to-back cups
He's
with
not
them.
a bad coach.
He's not
by
a bad.
Any stretch.
He will be hired the next day if he wants to.
And it would be a good hire.
But
I think the message has run dry there.
Yeah, every coach has an expiry date, and I think he's hit his for sure. Like and Pittsburgh obviously they're different. There's a different supporting cast there, but relatively same core. We've shown they respond well. Both of their Stanley Cup sort of runs in the immediate future right now, in the salary.
So they fired Mike Johnston and they hired Mike Sullivan and proceeded to win back-to-back cups.
Yeah, and then yes, that's true. But they also, I believe, they also fired Michel Therrien and hired Dan Bilesma in 2009.
Yes.
So I was gonna say both of their cup wins within the salary cap era have obviously they won a second one with Mike Sullivan, but they both been in that same season that they fired their coach and replaced them with an interim guy. This team really does seem to respond well to changes at the top. Or it changes behind the bench. Maybe not so much at the top because they've had a lot of turnover at the top.
But they also had, in that first year under Bilesma, they had Marc-Andre Fleury in net. That's not nothing. In the second year, they also had Marc-Andre Fleury in net, and then they had Matt Murray and Marc-Andre Fleury. So it's you had good goaltending.
Yeah, and then Matt Murray was so good that they literally got rid of Marc-Andre Fleury.
That was a mistake.
And he won a Vezina right after.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on here, but what I want to know is where do they go from here?
So they have Joel Blomqvist in net, young kid.
He's the guy who got lit up for those 8 goals.
But he's been the best of the 3 this year, and he actually has been very good. Outside of the game, and I don't know if you watched the game against Dallas, he was not to blame for that performance. He wasn't good, but it certainly wasn't there were bad goal after bad goal after bad goal. He is the goalie of the future there, and they have something in him. He's a legit option.
He's a legit number 1?
I think he's a good 1A, 1B guy, Swayman, Ullmark kind of situation. Whereas now you see Swayman and Ullmark aren't together anymore, and both are struggling. They needed that balance.
Excuse me, Linus Ullmark played pretty good last night. Shut out.
That's great. That's the first, if you look at Sens Twitter, that might be the first good game he's played all year.
Recency bias is what I'm talking about. What I want to know is I think there is nuance in this because obviously it is not completely on Kyle Dubas.
No, not at all.
However, he has made some very serious mistakes here.
Correct.
And I think with Kyle Dubas, it's a shame because I really like him, and I like him as a person. I like him, and I like him as a GM. However,
hockey would be in a lot better place if
more people were like Kyle Dubas.
Exactly.
However, what bums me out, I think, about Kyle Dubas is, and this might not be his fault, it might be the perception around him, is he came in and he was labeled as a guy who would do things differently.
Right.
He was different. And he is proven that he is just another hockey guy when it comes to his actual hockey sort of tendencies, his roster building tendencies. He sticks to his guys, he has his archetypes, and he makes kind of the same mistakes that he's made this whole time. He's made a lot of the same mistakes in Pittsburgh that he made in Toronto. By clawing together a high-paid, at this point, aging core 4.
No, okay, so he can't be blamed for that. That, I'm not... He was told by FSG
to do he didn't have to go out and get Erik Karlsson. That's his John Tavares.
No comment on that. Because there are times where when you're in a situation like the Pittsburgh Penguins are in, and you have the opportunity to go get that, you get your hand forced a little bit. I don't think if it were completely up to Kyle Dubas that he makes that trade. I think when you look at the Penguins and the types of things that Kyle Dubas would normally do, that did not fit the mold of what he would normally do. It absolutely did fit the mold of how FSG likes to run their shop. And so I think...
I disagree. I think that does fit the mold of something Kyle Dubas would do. He loves his big names, but that was his John Tavares. Erik Karlsson was his John Tavares. They make basically the same amount of money. They're not as old as each other were, but like he went out and he already had like a good core, and he thought that this was going to be another huge name, big price tag, but like elite player that was going to take them over the top. And I love Erik.
Karlsson did have a 100-point season
the year before, and I still think Erik Karlsson's a great NHL defenseman. I still think that what he gives up defensively is overwritten by what he provides offensively, without a doubt. But could you potentially replace that, like, in the aggregate for not $10 million?
Yes.
Absolutely. So, like, and also, like, I find that, overcommitting on depth guys, Lars Eller, although they were able to recoup some assets for him.
Agreed.
Like, if you look at Lars Eller's numbers before they signed him, there's no freaking way that guy should, A, be getting $2.45 million, and B, getting a multi-year deal. Yeah. And then on top, as well with that, Ryan Graves.
The Ryan Graves deal is absolutely brutal. So is the Tristan Jarry deal. Like, the Tristan Jarry deal is inexcusable.
Tristan Jarry deal, like, was Dubas putting his foot foot in the ground and going, like, I believe in this guy. And every time he has done that, he has been smacked in the face for it. It has never not. Whenever he's gone and said, like, I ride for my boys here, he has never been rewarded on that faith. Ever. And he did it again. That's the first thing he did, basically. Did it again. Has not worked. And then Ryan Graves, it wasn't him that made this signing. And I know that he railed against it in Toronto. But Ryan Graves was his Nikita Zaitsev signing.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much almost the exact same term, almost the exact same money. For a guy coming off of, a guy with maybe Fugazi numbers. That was his Nikita Zaitsev signing. There's so many parallels here.
Yep.
It just, like, I would even say Tristan Jarry was his Peter Mrazek.
No, Tristan Jarry is way worse than that.
Peter Mrazek was a 3-year deal at almost $4 million a year.
Tristan Jarry is way worse than that. Way worse.
Tristan Jarry, I know it's longer term and higher, but we are forgetting how bad Peter Mrazek was in Toronto.
Oh, no, I didn't forget. All I'm saying is Tristan Jarry, like...
His deal is longer and more expensive.
And therefore, it's not apples to apples.
But that is close.
I don't think it's actually in the same league. I think it's way worse.
I think it's worse, but I do think it's in the same league. They're a 3-year deal at almost $4 million per, and
the difference is, the reason why it's not in the same league is because they were able to get out of the Mrazek deal and still get the player they wanted. So I had it because I was working in the league at the time. The Leafs were going to take Fraser Minton with that pick. The fact that they were able to get out of Peter Mrazek's deal and still get Fraser Minton, lessens that blow. They are not getting out of the Tristan Jarry deal. That's going to be the difference. And that's why it's way worse. They would have gotten...
And I love Fraser Minton as a hockey player. I think he's going to be a very good, third...
There was a team that had him ranked 11th overall.
They would have, at least by the media, they would have gotten fried if they took him in the first round.
They got fried for taking Easton Cowan. How's that looking?
And that's, 0 NHL goals.
Where are you? I'm going to hit you.
I'm obviously joking.
But...
Come on.
This is what I'm saying is that's why it's not as bad. They still got the player they wanted, and they got off the deal. Mm-hmm. They're not getting out of the Tristan Jarry deal.
It is not as bad. I'm being very clear on that. Obviously. However, they also did have a unique circumstance there with Mrazek in that the Blackhawks, it was advantageous for them to be bad and take as many bad contracts as they could.
Yep.
Because they literally needed to hit...
And he identified
a floor. Yeah.
And got into... That's why this is worse. You're not going to be able to do that with Jarry.
And the problem is that there really aren't teams that... you look at the Sharks, the team that they dealt with, and the team they dealt with Karlsson, and the Karlsson deal is the reason why this is here, is that, the Sharks don't have any retention slots left. So everyone always pencils the Sharks in as a team that's trade this... for example, Oilers fans... They are now so down bad that they want Cody Ceci back. So they go, we'll get Cody Ceci back at 50% retained. You can't, because the Sharks have 3 retention slots already lined up. And one of those is Erik Karlsson, that lasts for another 3 years, I think. And the other one is Thomas Hertl, that lasts for another 6 years.
Right.
So those aren't opening up anytime soon.
All right, so the Penguins are bad.
Now, you know who's good? The Winnipeg Jets.
The Jets are really good.
The Jets are 15-1.
Who's
Who's the one, though?
How about them Leafs?
How about them Leafs? They sucked ass last night, but the Leafs are still the Leafs. Anyway, the Jets are playing incredible hockey, literally record-breaking hockey. It's the best start we've seen through a team's. When they were 14-1, they were the best. It was the best start through a team's first 15 games in NHL history, and I have to imagine it's the exact same if you tack on one more. So we're going to go through their first 16 games. The Jets are a team that I do not trust because I look at their roster. Obviously, they have a goaltender that dukes it out on a daily basis for the title of best goalie in the world, Connor Hellebuyck.
Mm-hmm.
But their guns up front and their guns on the back end do not sway me, and yet here they are, 15-1. How real are the Jets?
So their shooting percentage at 5-on-5 is 9.5, which is sustainable.
Yes. Oh, definitely. That's
super sustainable. That's upper echelon, but super sustainable. Their save percentage at 5-on-5 is 9.31. That's.
Do you think that's sustainable with Connor Hellebuyck? It might be.
I think it probably comes down to like 9.25.
How is that a big enough dip to really put a dent in their record, basically? Like,
yeah,
they're not going to go like 80.
They're not going 62-20. Like, that is not going to happen. But I conceivably, like, with the way that they're going right now, they could get 50 wins.
Oh, I think they're definitely going to get 50 wins.
Right? They're already at 15. The thing is look at the Central Division.
Yeah.
The Stars. The Avs.
Yeah. Well, the Avs, everyone is hurt on the Avs. Like, that is the only... Like, literally, the Avs are having Oliver Shillington playing forward just because they do not have the bodies.
Yeah, they just got Valerian Nichushkin back.
They have a guy who they drafted in the 7th round this year, and he is on their NHL roster because they are that hurt.
Right.
Hurting
their
for bodies.
goaltending also is somehow worse than Pittsburgh's, which is not great.
Georgiev.
Wow, is that bad? Cale Makar is having a Bobby Orr-esque start to the year as well. Wild, not surprising. But with the Jets, I think you look at how they're playing. They're not giving up a ton.
No, you're right.
Their expected goals for per 60 is basically 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not as good as their 15-1 record would say they are, but they certainly aren't like a middle of the pack, like not going to make the playoffs. Like, I think they're probably the second best team in their division when all is said and done. Like, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I think we're probably talking about the fact that they still, like, don't want to play Colorado, don't want to play Dallas. Like, and that's because Dallas has more depth on defense, a goaltender that can match Hellebuyck in Ottinger, and Colorado is, like, not up for discussion, has 4 players that are better than any single player on the Jets.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like not...
Other than the goalie, but you can't compare.
Right.
Goalie and players.
No, I'm talking
like
skaters.
4 skaters, yes, without a doubt.
Like, it's not even a thing. The other thing is Winnipeg's power play right now is getting... I went and I watched. They're getting a ton of bounces.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a ton of bounces. So is their penalty kill. Like, teams are hitting the post against the Jets more often than they are against any other team. That's not going to continue, right? But the Jets are still, right now, they're the best team in the league.
Oh, without a doubt.
They're the best team in the league.
I mean, that's not a hot take. Their record is the best through...
No, but in terms of, like, structure, special teams, they're getting contributions from, like, all of their depth. Gabe Velarde, Adam Lowry, Mason Appleton's been really good. Like, you look at that, and yes, they're a very good team. The problem is I think they're a little reliant on Hellebuyck.
Oh, definitely.
They are one Hellebuyck injury.
They're a hamstring tweak away from
big trouble.
From, like, a house of cards. But...
Like, they wouldn't be able to survive if Georgiev was in net, is what I'm saying.
However, it's very easy to see a team playing pretty well at this point and having a really good goalie and going like, oh, you take that goalie away, they suck. Well, yeah, man. Like,
yeah, that's
if you take one of my legs away, it'll be tough for me to run. You know, like.
Right, but what I'm saying is like if you look at Colorado, If you gave Colorado Connor Hellebuck, they're probably 15-1-1 too. Or they're 12-3-1.
They're 12 with their injuries, they're 12-3-1.
Right. But if you gave the Jets Alexander Georgiev,
oh yeah, they're like,
or Tristan Jarry,
they're like 5-7 and whatever. Like it's,
that's kind of what I'm getting at is I don't think the Jets are fraudulent at all.
No.
I don't think they're
the greatest team that's ever
shoo-in to
played.
win the cup.
I don't think they're the greatest team that's ever played.
Yeah.
Like it's now the thing about the Jets' success, because like I honestly have nothing against the Winnipeg Jets as a hockey team. I know a lot of people.
I have a fancy jacket.
You do. I know a lot of people from Winnipeg. That is a town that got their team ripped away from them. They have it back now. It's great.
I'm thrilled for them.
The only thing that gives me pause is that I know Jesse Pollock is happy, and I just don't like that. I don't like living in a world where that's the case. So I'm gonna need the Jets to start losing a little bit. I have a question before we get into our lifeline. The Pierre-Luc Dubois trade.
Yeah.
Where does that rank in, I would say, post-2012 lockout trades?
It looks pretty good.
It might be top 10. Based on the team's success and what they were able to extract from a player who they also had basically zero leverage with.
Yeah. Kevin Cheveldayoff deserves a ton of credit.
Like
for that trade.
Yeah, like that is pretty gosh dang remarkable to be able to get, Gabe Vilardi, Rasmus Kupari, and Alex Iafallo and have them basically all of them fits so well. Some obviously some more than others, but Gabe Vilardi's been fantastic.
Iafallo was unbelievable in his first year.
Yeah, like it's
and
so.
Rasmus Kupari is still a young.
He's still young.
24 years old.
Yeah, but like it is, and to not only like.
And the Kings had to immediately trade Dubois.
Yeah.
Like, not ideal.
And to be fair to the Kings, Darcy Kemper's playing well to start the year.
Yeah.
Like, we're
going to have to talk about the Caps next week because...
We are. Well, the Leafs play the Caps tonight. If the Caps beat the crap out of the Leafs tonight, I think that's when we start to really get a sense of, like, this team's different.
Logan Thompson is playing his way firmly into the Team Canada discussion. And the only reason he wasn't in it at the beginning of the year is because he was hurt.
Yeah.
Right? Logan Thompson is a fantastic story, and he's a
CU Sports, like Canadian University Sports.
He is also a very good human being, and I love seeing people like that succeed. So Logan Thompson has been a great find. Dylan Strome has been
unreal,
absolutely incredible for the
How
Caps.
The hell?
Spencer Carberry
has
to be the odds-on favorite for the Coach of the Year right now.
Well, every year. The award goes to the team that everyone expected to suck that actually is good.
So it's like Scott Arniel in Winnipeg, I think, is going to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Spencer Carberry simply has to be in that discussion.
Absolutely.
Like
big year for bald guys.
Big year for
bald guys. All we need is like a Fast and Furious movie coming out that only exclusively has men without hair in it. I'm not sure if you've ever looked at a poster for a Fast and Furious movie.
It's pretty much, yeah.
And like that would be huge for bald guys. It's pretty. Bill Burr hosted SNL last week. It's all coming up for bald guys.
It really is.
Way to go. There you go. I think Spencer Carberry is a phenomenal coach. We're gonna have to really I loved watching him in Toronto. That's when Toronto's power play was the best, when he was there.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting.
Now he has the greatest power play weapon ever known to this league in the 21st century. Even if he's aging, like it took, I saw a stat. 14 goals this year?
It took Ovechkin, I think, until December. It might even have been January to get 8 goals last year, and he already got his 8th within like October, basically. Like that's remarkable. All right, Rachel, it's our lifeline time.
I love this segment so much.
It's great.
Because it's just outrageous.
So we have a lifeline here, and this one's wedding themed.
Ooh!
Because we got a lot, and also this is the most obvious lifeline I think we've ever had. Because this is where we go to relationship advice, or, am I the asshole, or stuff like that. This one's an am I the asshole.
Okay.
And I don't want to read the title because you will immediately go, yes, you are the asshole.
Okay.
At least, I hope so. If not, we might have to have a conversation. Anyway, so my fiance, who is a man and 23 years old, and I, who's a female and 23, are getting married in less than a month.
Okay, that's way too early to be getting married right off the hop, but carry on. What are we doing?
That was, funny enough, I look at the comments on this, and that was, the number one thing that people were
Yeah, what are we doing here? What are you doing at 23?
What was I doing at 23? I
Playing
was still
PlayStation in your condo.
Yeah, I was playing PlayStation in my when I was 23. I was playing PlayStation in my apartment, and it was COVID, and I've told this story many times, but I missed like 8 threes in a row, and I was so mad at myself. I smacked myself in the face, and I ruptured my eardrum. That's what I was doing at 23.
So not getting married.
Was not ready to get married.
Maybe that's why your wife left you?
Could be. All right, so my fiance, 23 male, and me, 23 female, are getting married in less than a month. We're doing a small wedding and only inviting 20 guests. Not bad.
So, yeah.
I went to one of those a month ago. It was great. We decided we wanted to have our wedding up in a canyon, but to access this canyon, it costs $10. So we're having our guests pay the $10 to enter the canyon. We put this canyon fee on our invitations. My sister called today as she had just received her invite in the mail and was mad about having to pay to attend a wedding. She called me an asshole because I was being a cheapskate, and there are thousands of canyons that won't have a fee. But me and my fiance already have our hearts set on this specific canyon in view. As the argument went on, she started to nitpick our whole wedding plan, having the guests bring their own camping chairs, not having a real reception, just a small dinner for those who attended, and posting her registry all over social media, but only having 20 people actually be invited. We don't want to spend a lot of money, and so doing it outdoors is one way of doing that. We also just want our close, intimate friends and family to be there, so I don't know what's wrong with keeping it small. To those who will ask, it's a canyon fee you have to pay at the base, so it's not like we could just pay the park rangers in advance and just say this should cover it. It's open to the public. So, am I the asshole? I think it's pretty clear. Yes.
Yes.
This person is a fucking sociopath.
First of all, here's what you do. Number 1, hire a wedding planner.
Mm-hmm. No, but they don't want to spend a lot of money.
That's fine. You're not spending a lot of money because your venue is literally free,
outdoors.
basically.
It is nature. Your venue is nature.
So, then your wedding planner stands at the bottom of the canyon every time. There's 20 people times 10 is $200. You simply have your wedding planner pay the $10 fee all until everyone is there. You're good to go. Then everybody goes up. You have your wedding. I'm sure it'll be lovely. Bring your own chairs is obnoxious.
And to that point as well, not only, because they're saying it's up in a canyon, right? You have to then carry your camping chairs up to the canyon and then carry them down.
And presumably you're not showing up in shorts and a t-shirt.
No, so in a suit. And on top of that, like, people are almost certainly...
Rent chairs!
And you're having a dinner, like, instead of a ceremony, instead of like a traditional ceremony, you're having a dinner. I'm very much assuming that alcohol will be served at that.
I have a question.
Okay.
So, ceremony is in the canyon.
Yes.
You gotta take the... whatever. Where is the reception? Because there's no way...
It's in the canyon. It's like
So
they're not having a ceremony. They said they aren't having a ceremony.
So that's stupidity.
Yeah.
That is stupidity. Because, like, think of all of the money that you're gonna have to spend to get, like, the food there and the booze and everything. You could have had your ceremony in the canyon and it would have been beautiful, and you pay the $200 for all your guests to attend, like, that's fine. And then you go and you have a reception somewhere. Like, it's normal. Maybe it's just... like, my family, I don't know if it's a normal thing, but, like, you do the ceremony, then the wedding party and everything goes off and takes pictures, and there's, like, this gap of time.
Yes.
And that's where you can...
You then set up the dinner. Like, you get everything ready, you know? Like...
Yeah. Like, and this is silliness.
There will likely be alcohol served at this.
No, with the way these guys are going, it's not open bar, I'll tell you that much.
No, but there will likely
no
be...
chance.
There will likely be alcohol there. Are you expecting drunk people to carry their own chairs back to their cars? And if you're in a canyon, are you going to then, like, have them park at the canyon, Uber home if they've been drinking because you don't want to drink and drive, and then come back to the canyon to get their cars?
This is very poorly planned.
It's just... And on top of that, her sister or whatever said in this, there are many different... Like, she was annoyed that we picked this one specific canyon. There are many canyons that are free to enter. They picked the one specific canyon that has a $10 fee because they like the view.
That's great. Then you pay the $200 for your 20. I understand if you're having an entry fee, and let's say you have, like, my wedding is probably going to be a lot larger than 20 people because I'm not going to be able to get away with that, right? So let's say you have a wedding and it's, make it a nice easy number, 500 people.
It's not going to be 20 people. So let's times that by like 20.
So let's say it's a
25.
500-person wedding. Okay, then it's $5,000 to get everybody into this canyon. Then, yeah, okay, first of all, you chose to have the venue there. You have to pay for your venue.
Yes.
My friend got married at the top of the Rockefeller Center. The venue itself was $1.25 million. Do you think she was asking for handouts for her friends to, like, you have to get to the top of the Rockefeller is $40.
Who the is your friend?
She married a Wall Street hedge
Is
fund
her
manager.
last name Rothschild? Like,
no, she married a Wall Street, like, wealth
Jesus
management.
Christ. Yeah. Did she marry Mr. Wall, heir to Wall Street?
Honestly, like, not that far off.
Jesus Christ.
So, but this is the thing, is they didn't charge people. Like, when we went to the wedding, we didn't have to pay the $40 to get up to the Rockefeller.
You should not, if you're inviting someone to a wedding.
They're not paying.
Their presence there is their entry fee.
Yes.
Like, getting to a wedding, especially if it's like a not even a destination,
wedding.
but
well,
like
this one was in New York.
This is local. Like the wedding we're talking about here. I'm assuming this is local. But even still, like, I would say somewhere where you have to drive over 45 minutes, in my mind, that's a destination wedding. I have to take a day off work to do that. Or I have to take at least a half day to do that. To get there, to get ready, to get there, like, everything, especially if you're part of the wedding party. Like, for example, I went to Stephen Ellis's wedding for, my former editor of the Hockey News. And he's at Daily Face-Off now. It was a phenomenal, awesome time. There was probably 30 people, like 30 guests total. It was great. It was in Bradford, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's an hour and 15 or so. So to actually be able to get there in like good time to fight traffic, to do it.
I'm sorry, that's not a destination wedding.
No. I know, but I mean, like, it's out of the city limits. Like, you had to drive and everything. Like, I had to take a half day off work. Just like,
okay, but let's be clear, a destination wedding
is like going to like Mexico or like going, exactly. But
if I don't have to fly there, it's not a destination wedding.
But this is not like it's downtown. You can hop on the subway, or it's downtown. You can Uber down or whatever. Like this. So on top, like, that is like, it is a lot. I understand, like, there's food provided and everything, but like, it is a lot of work to go to a wedding.
Right, but you're also, like, when you're going to a wedding, like, you pay for your plate kind of thing. Like, the gift should be the monetary amount of the plate, so that because the whole thing is you don't want the couple to be in debt from their wedding kind of thing, right? Okay, we're talking about $200. That is, like, I make that in a night in betting. Like, just pay for your guests' entry fee. It's not like it's some opulent thing. Like, I could understand if you're having a destination wedding and you tell them you have to pay for your flights, because that could get into the $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. We're talking about $200.
I want to know.
My couch pillows are more expensive than that.
That's insane. You should not be buying pillows that are more than that. But
I did buy 8.
It is
to be clear.
Okay. I thought you were like per pillow, and I'm like, that's
no.
insanity.
I bought 8 pillows.
Okay, good. That's a good level of pillow expenditure.
Yeah, they were like $20 each.
That's a good level of pillow expenditure. But
my pillows cost the same as their wedding.
That's a good level of pillow expenditure. Now, how self-centered do you have to be that you think you are so special, that your love is so special, that people need to pay admission to see it sort of like consummated, basically? No, you. I don't care. Like, if you're one of my best friends, Rachel. I would not pay money. I would not pay money to go see you get married.
So I'll give you a personal example. Mm-hmm. My family, like, we have this thing in Germany where we either do the reception or the ceremony at Neuschwanstein, which is the Cinderella Castle. But there is admission. And guess who pays the admission?
The people who host the event.
My family.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, when I get married, I'm likely going to have to do a wedding in Germany and a wedding here because I have elderly people in Germany that are not going to be able to fly over to North America. And I have elderly people here that wouldn't be able to fly to Germany. So it's going to have to be like a kind of like a small thing on both sides, right?
Small thing of 500 people?
No circumstances would anybody be paying admission for anything at my wedding.
Honestly,
Unacceptable. Like, I would even go so far as to say, like, my parents, my husband's parents, probably at both weddings.
yeah.
I would probably pay for their flights because I want them to be there.
But it's also like,
and these people want people to pay $10 for a canyon fee?
you should not
here?
be going to a wedding that doesn't have an open bar.
Oh, okay, so God bless Karen, we love her. She's like, if you don't have an open bar at your wedding, I'm objecting to your wedding. Like, she's like, I will not allow it.
Absolutely.
It's honestly...
I won't go.
No.
Like, you're one of my best friends. I will not go to your wedding if you don't have an open bar.
Do you think I
would
be allowed to have a wedding without an open bar?
It's a principle thing. It's not that I don't care enough or whatever. It's that, like, I cannot allow you to be rewarded for this decision.
You know a lot about me.
Yes.
What about me makes you think
I would never.
I'm
just saying.
No, cash bars, unacceptable.
Even drink tickets, unacceptable. Like,
none of that. No.
Yeah. No, open bar.
None of that. I'm not saying you have to have Grey Goose and Johnny Walker available.
No, dude.
Just have rail, have Tito's, have Bacardi, have regular, like, you can have nice wine with dinner, that's fine. But, like, dude, you're not having a cash bar at your goddamn wedding.
You have a rail version of a vodka, a gin, a whiskey, and that's basically it. And a rum, just for mixed drinks, or if people want to take shots, and you're good. Maybe a tequila as well, but like a bottom barrel, tequila.
Yeah, like I'm not bringing out the Don Julio.
Exactly. You're not off that Don Julio. You're breaking out, like, I don't even know. Patron, or even like less than Patron, whatever that is.
Right.
Like, I'm not as versed in tequila as.
Yeah, you're not having a reposado at your wedding for people to be shooting back. Like, but this is the thing, is like, you're not. These people want. First of all, the wedding registry all over social media. Like, I'm not sending my wedding registry to people that aren't invited to my wedding.
Well, it's like you're posting it on, like. If you expect people who are not invited to your wedding to buy you things just because you're getting married, you deserve to be beaten with hammers.
Yes.
And, like, it is unbelievable. Like, these people are. This is the most selfish, self-centered, and the fact
unacceptable behavior.
And the fact
not acceptable.
The fact that they have to run to Reddit, and because they don't know if they're the.
Where are the parents? Like, how are the parents not being like, okay?
I don't know. Maybe
not permitted.
Maybe this just strikes me. This either strikes me as a ton of privilege or very naive 23-year-olds.
That is exactly what I'm. You are too. This is the cardinal sign that you are too young to be getting married. If you think that you are in the right and that you have to go to Reddit and ask for other people's opinions, you are too young, because this is basic wedding etiquette.
If you're treating your wedding like an after prom party, which is what they're doing, where, like, you have to pay a cover basically to come in, like, that might mean you're too young. But on that note, you know what you're never too young for? To donate to Jumpstart, our charity of choice. Jumpstart helps economically disadvantaged kids play team sports, which is a cause that is near and dear to Rachel and I's hearts. All of the links and the donation links will be in the description below. So if you can, we would highly, highly, highly suggest and encourage you to donate to Jumpstart, their charity of choice. All right, Rachel. Well, this was a lovely episode. I hope everyone took a lot of lessons from, specifically from, what have we learned? Don't trade for Erik Karlsson.
Don't build a stadium where the sun makes it so your players can't do their jobs appropriately.
Be bald.
And
don't charge people to come to your wedding. And I think that's a great lesson that we can all share, and I think that it will stand the test of time. So on that note, we will see you next week.